Once a breeder develops a plant with potential, it's sent to growers to evaluate it for market. The testing includes field trials, often done by companies that specialize in testing new plants. One of these companies is EuroAmerican in Zazzle, California. Each year, EuroAmerican trials between 6,000 and 7,000 new plant varieties. Their location in northern San Diego County lends itself to testing a wide variety of plants.
We're in the Tuscany of San Diego County. This is Zazzle. Rolling hills, countryside, great light, and it's an excellent place to produce plants.
John Rader oversees EuroAmerican's team of horticulturists and marketing experts. They evaluate shrubs, grasses, annuals, succulents, and perennials under real-life indoor and outdoor conditions to decide which to add to their catalogs.
We live in a place that has greenhouse conditions almost year-round. So maybe half of that acreage is greenhouses and the rest of it is just full sun growing, which putting the touch of Mother Nature has come to be our fingerprint. So this is our wintertime flowering trial. And what we're doing here is we're finding the plants that flower even when it's cold out and the days are short.
Plants are evaluated for characteristics like the color and stability of their flowers, how big they grow, how fast they grow, how many weeks it takes for each to bloom, how it does with lots of water or little water.
This is our display of landscape use of succulents.
So is this a trial garden?
It is a test garden, but it's also an education garden so that our sales team and our customers can get to know what succulents can do. You know, we get the plants from a number of sources. We work very closely with private breeders, hobbyists. Sometimes they're just things that we've found in our own collections, or as we've traveled the world, we've seen things that are very unusual and interesting. So we're constantly looking for something that strikes our fancy because we can never be satisfied that we've arrived.
Trial plants are sent to EuroAmerican as cuttings, pieces of branches literally cut off a mother plant. The first step in the trialing process is getting those cuttings to root. That's the job of Adam Flint, EuroAmerican's research grower.
So in here we receive any cutting material that we receive from any breeders into EuroAmerican trials. Starts off in here. Part of the trial is actually rooting data. So I come out here and I look and see how the plants are rooting, and if they aren't performing well, then we discard them.
Since growers plant thousands, even millions of cuttings every year, Adam looks for varieties to root quickly and root well. Next, they're potted up and sent to the trial fields. Today, Adam shows me his outside hanging basket trials and explains how the plants are evaluated.
All these hanging baskets. So tell me what you're trialing for. When you look at these, what are you going to evaluate them for?
Habit would be probably the first thing, as well as how much of the pot is it covering. Where these are hanging baskets, we want them to be hanging. We also look at the blooms. So when they're out in the sun, a lot of plants have a habit of they'll bleach in the sun. And so we want that to maintain the vibrancy as when it first appeared. And then the last thing that we do is we track how much time it takes to grow that plant. So that when a grower is growing the plants, they can kind of calculate out how long they need to be growing it before that's a sellable plant.
Each new variety is trialed several times, under different conditions and in different growing seasons, before John Rader and his team decide their ultimate fate.
The way that we replicate our trials is that we figure that we want to find out if the plant has longevity. I think that's one of the biggest things for the consumer. What we do is we figure on 3 different planting times. That way we get to see the performance of that plant through most of the growing seasons that a consumer might use it. We trial about 6,000 to 7,000 plants per year. I would say about only 150 make it to market.
Ooh, that's really pretty.
Plant trialing is a process that can take years, but the plants that earn the highest marks continue on their way to commercial introduction.
We're back at EuroAmerican to see how plants are propagated. This is where varieties that pass the test begin that journey to market.
This is where the business of making plants kicks in by replicating them thousands of times. A clone, or a cultivar as they call it in the trade, is an identical copy of the parent plant. Having identical plants is important for consistency, so a variety always matures at the same height, blooms the same color, and grows the same way under the same conditions. Propagation starts with a mother plant. Propagators take cuttings from the plant, being careful not to cut off too much. Then they root the cuttings. One plant makes several plants make many plants. Many plants soon make enough to take to market.
It may not look like it, but this is a cloning factory. This is where that one perfect plant becomes several identical plants that become the mother stock for all the propagation. This one operation alone generates 75 million cuttings every year.
Propagators like EuroAmerican clone all different kinds of plants. They purchase some of the mother plants from outside companies. Others are developed right here.
This fuzzy plant is called Gomphrena pink Zazzle. It's an EuroAmerican exclusive. That means that anywhere you see this plant in a nursery in North America, that little plant started its life right here.
The mother plants are the company's raw materials and one of their most valuable assets. They're carefully protected in a controlled environment to keep out bacteria, viruses, and other contaminants. Cuttings are taken to a nearby greenhouse where they're planted in a planting assembly line.
See all these women so hard at work. This is where your plants come from.
Today, workers are planting cuttings that were flown in just yesterday from Costa Rica. Planting happens from January through December. Over the course of the year, more than 2,500 different varieties of plants are propagated right here on this line.
This is what I like to see. Lots and lots and lots and lots of cuttings.
Tom Foley is Executive Manager of Operations at EuroAmerican. Tom showed me around the propagation greenhouses.
When we're trialing and evaluating products, we try for the beauty of the plant, but also for the performance in the propagation facility. We want plants that are relatively uniform, easy to root, and grow on and are very consistent. And that's very important for our customers, and it's also important for consumers so that we can have beautiful plants that we can grow in quantities so that they can enjoy them as well.
You know, what amazes me is you can have a little cutting just this big, and it'll be a big plant, right?
Absolutely. This is one of the reasons I went into horticulture. It's just fascinating to be able to take a small cutting like that, put it in a container, and in just a few weeks, this is going to be in somebody's backyard, and they're going to be enjoying it all summer.
So what are the cuttings in? What are these?
So they're in a little bit of peat moss, a little bit of perlite, wrapped in paper, just as you can see there. And then we'll stick the cutting in there, and they'll root, and within a few days, we're going to see roots on the edge of this pot. And then we'll be shipping this to our customers in a few weeks.
That's pretty amazing. And I take it that, you know, if I were to do this at home, I would worry about them wilting and then, of course, dying. But I guess that's part of what the whole humidity is, right? It keeps the moisture in?
That's correct. I mean, with the higher humidity, that helps keep the leaf and the foliage and the stems hydrated while they're trying to put their roots on. A plant takes up all of its nutrients and its water primarily out of the ground. And without roots, that's where the plant could dry up. And so it just needs a little bit of humidity for just a couple of weeks until it roots, and then we can put them outside where we've got beautiful sunlight, cool nights, sunny days, and helps the plants acclimate and become much hardened off and perform much better. So after the plants are starting to root, we like to bring them out into this house to help them tone up, get acclimated so that when they go outside to our customer, they're going to be a really great growing plant and finish quickly for our customer.
So these are all pretty much rooted then?
Sure, so this tray right here is fully rooted. You can see the roots on the plant. And these plants are going to be shipping to our customers this weekend. So this will be in somebody's backyard probably in 4 or 5 weeks.
Soon, rooted cuttings are ready to grow. But there's still more to this story.